Right. You're always invited to visit us in Munich. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Right. Ah, nice. Nice. Yes, I enjoyed it a lot. And actually, it was the first flight for me since a very long time. It's almost 2 years to, and one of the only few physical events that I attended last year. So this was very special also from that point of view. And nothing can beat a real networking at a physical event. So it's not possible, just not possible with this digital environment on that. And during a coffee break or during the cocktail reception in the evening. And I think here MedTech World was very special because they did a very good job in giving a lot of possibilities to network, to get in touch with other people, with other startup founders, with investors, with potential partners, and so on. So this was really a lot that I enjoyed during this event. And we were also had a great chance to get awarded for the Health Tech Startup of the Year awards during the MedTech Awards. And this gave us a lot of media attention in the aftermath. So it was really great. Right. Great. Yeah, this is very interesting question. Very good point that it's never a straight way to where you get, or most of the times. And fully agree in the digital health, it's very often this way. And actually, over 10 years ago, I studied applied mathematics. So really, yeah, something that is not really related to a medical domain or digital health at all. But then during my major studies, I was focusing on medical engineering and medical image processing while studying there here in Munich and in Singapore. So there got in the first contact also while working in an echocardiography company during that time, got in the first connections with the digital environment in the medical framework. After that, then I did my PhD in Aachen at the RWTH in Aachen. And there, very good. Yeah, small. Yeah, Netherlands. Right, exactly. Right, Netherlands. Right, the three countries. Yes, yeah, yeah. There, I already 10 years ago. I then was focusing on using computational modeling and simulation and the medical device development purposes. And this is where I did my PhD. So it's not directly digital health, but using digital methods to support MedTech frameworks. And so I finished then my PhD and continued working at a spin-off company, a small company, emerging out of the institute. And there we were focusing on medical service provision using digital methods and later on also other methods, really for supporting MedTech companies on their journey. And there I got more and more involved also into the regulatory part of that and how digital evidence can contribute not just during the development purposes, but also for the regulatory purposes of medical devices and implants, and got in contact with FDA, but also other stakeholders and key opinion leaders, and just have seen the potential in this domain. So 2019, I then decided to really focus on this topic, go back to Munich and focus on this topic completely. And this was the origin of Virtonomy that I then founded together with Sven Yang Chu here in Munich. And from there, the journey started with Virtonomy. And a lot has happened since then, grown a lot within our team with over 20 people, raised different, already since. So a lot of growth and also raised venture capital in the seed round. And so a lot of exciting stuff happening. And there I got more and more involved in the digital health environment now. Yeah. Yeah. Right. 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 Yeah. 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 So in general, one of the biggest challenge for medical device companies and also pharma companies is the tremendous increase of cost that is associated with the clinical trials. So the whole regulatory part takes around 80% of the whole costs when you bring a device or a drug to the market. And this time to market for medical products can be over 10 years, what is a very long time frame. And still the risk to fail there is huge. So over 50% of devices fail during the clinical trial stage. And this is, of course, something that cannot 50%, over 50%. Yes, and this is of course also a high risk for the patient in the end, because also during a clinical trial, patients can then be treated with products, with implants that is not proven that well, and where the safety is not fully guaranteed with this, because there's still a lot of unknowns that cannot be answered using traditional methods like animal trials, experiments in the lab, and also these conventional stages. And this is then really the mission of Virtonomy, to change this, to really go away from these problems, find a new solution and go there. And so at Virtonomy, we have developed vPatients. So this is the first web-based software as a service that can be used by medical device manufacturers. And this is using data-driven virtual patients and simulations to then perform digital R&D and clinical trials. And this can be a bit compared to the automobile industry. So in the automobile industry in the past, it was that cars were crashing against the wall to then evaluate safety of the car or the performance. And that's right. That, right. It gets the wall. Right. Exactly. Right. And everybody has seen this, has seen these crash tests. And now a lot more of these crash tests are done in computer. So using simulations. So really virtual in that. And this is already done since many years in the automobile and aircraft industry. But in the medical domain, it's just picking up. And this is exactly what we are doing. We're changing the way of how these tests are performed, and really in a computer digital environment. And by that, we can reduce then the risk to fail during the time, because we can have a lot more parameters to be tested. So it's not just to crash the one car against the wall, change a parameter and crash it again against the wall, but we can then really use hundreds or thousands or millions of data sets with then virtual patients to perform this and have a very higher diversity in the data and also the parameters that can be evaluated and evaluated in that. And right, right, exactly. Yeah, 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 yes, yeah. Yes, yeah, right. So we at Virtonomy, we're not focusing on pharmaceuticals, not on drugs, but really on medical implants. So it's something physical, something mechanical. So this is also a lot of mechanical aspects that have to be tested when you introduce an implant to the market. So it's about fatigue. So if the device has some point of time that it ruptures, that's some risk. For example, when you have a stand frame, that there's a rupture risk, or leaflets of heart valves that are not working, assist device that is not fitting into the body. So there's the interplay between the anatomy of the patient, the blood flow, the physiological, and the device itself. And this is something when you develop such a new product, you have to prove the safety and performance of this device. And using their you can use animals in this and implant the device into an animal and see does it work. But there you don't have all the outcomes because the anatomy is different. Then also you cannot test so many different scenarios because it's limited. And also, of course, there's the sacrifice of the animal. And the other aspect, you can test it in experimental laboratories. We're using a mock up of the physiological the environment of the patient using pipes and so on. But there also you cannot just test everything in this environment. So what we can do is there really to perform virtual testing using the virtual patients and simulations to test these mechanical substitutes. So for example, if a stand frame for a specific patient population fits into the patient in this anatomy, but also what happens over time. So when you have the dynamics of the heart beating in the environment, what is then the interaction of this vessel, of this heart on the stent, and then does it break at one point or not? And then do we have to change it? Have to change the design of this implant in a way that this will not happen in the future. And this is exactly what you can do. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Right. Yes. Right. Yeah, it's very complex because we were combining multiple technologies. So from image processing using imaging data over using also AI technology on this, digital twin concepts, simulation, but also then providing then the web interface that is usable. We're also including virtual reality so that even in a virtual reality environment, the user can then interact with the anatomy, with the implant and the interaction between both. So here is a lot of different disciplines that comes together. And this is what you said at the beginning, that in this domain, this digital health domain, many different disciplines have to come together. And this is what's makes it interesting, because I have the mathematical background. I did my PhD more in a clinical setup, so gained the clinical expertise. Then after that, I got more business environment background. And this is the beauty in this, that you can combine so many different disciplines together. And what makes it then also great, and what I can recommend everyone, is to look into many different disciplines to gain experience in that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that both domains, so digital health and MedTech, will be more and more connected in the future. So just recently, the FDA has also published a discussion paper about 3D printing of medical devices at the point of care. So 3D printing the implants directly in the hospital, within the hospital. And this is a great example where you need digital pipelines, image processing, simulation, digital reporting to then bring the implant directly then into the patient. And another example here is device uptime. So to have predictive maintenance, so to have a digital twin of the medical implant itself, and then predict over time, does any adverse event happen or not? So that a medical implant is directly correlated also to a digital monitoring system or tracking of that. And this is great examples where these both disciplines come together. And I see really the future at one point that there will be a digital twin of everyone. So also a digital twin of you, where all of your information is then connected and put into the system. You have then predictions about different disease states that might potentially happen out of statistics and your conditions. And then also directly then potential and the best ways to treat yourself. And yes, that is when the, yes, yeah, it will. This will come. Yeah, yeah, it's not yet because the everything is not there yet. I think digital twin it's also a bit of a buzzword, but I think that the main idea here is to really bring together all information that is possible. And for example, your data currently, you have your dental data that is stored maybe at the dentist. You have the data about whatever somewhere else, but it doesn't make sense to separate all these data points and that. So in the future, it will be to really merge everything and bring it together, because your one disease state could also then interact with something else and represent something else and reflect maybe in the dental region. And this is something that is currently not at all addressed. And in the future, this all will come together. And then when you have this framework and also have them, every patient and all data together, and then the whole population of this data, and then I hope there will also be more open data sharing or possibilities that are secure to get this together. Then there's the possibility to really make predictive in silico medicine reality also on this. Yeah, 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 right, yeah, right, yeah, right, 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 yeah, exactly, right, right, exactly, right, thank you. Right, exactly, right, absolutely, sure, yeah. So yeah, one topic that I got involved with Virtonomy, that I got also aware of because of Virtonomy, is diversity in R&D and clinical trials. So one big problem still is that there's a high percentage of populations that is underrepresented in these studies, like women, children, rare disease, but also ethnic groups. And this is still a huge problem because you want to develop treatment possibilities for the whole population, and you don't only want to have a population or a treatment for a certain kind of population, and to create this diversity. This is also something that is where we are really working on. We try to change this, that with this digital population, with this high diversity in this digital data, we can really provide then also solutions for the whole population, and not just then test a device or anything in 50 patients in hundreds, but then really in thousands or millions, to really represent everyone, include everyone, and to know then how can I change my treatment in a way to treat as many patients as possible. So diversity in clinical trials and R&D, this is still a huge problem. That is, a lot of problems are involved here in the recruitment of patients and so on. But this is something that I really want to make aware, because I was not aware of this so much before starting Virtonomy, and I now try to make more people aware of that. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, for sure. Thanks a lot for the invitation.